All right, some people in some political corners were excited with the emergence of Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde when he actually entered the political realm of Uganda. But some sad news is coming in. Yesterday, he was arrested, and we are getting information that at around 3 a.m. Friday morning, he was transferred to the SIU offices in Chireka. We have more.
Introduce yourself so that we know you. So that when you quote the law, we listen to it with respect.
We don't get into a harbor of the law.
I thought you were a lawyer, Kum. Surely, do they search people at this time?
They keep changing the laws. They might have forgotten.
Any amendment?
All right, now I do have the Lord Mayor of Kampala, that is Erias Lukwago, to join me right here and right now in studio to let us know what is happening. The man was arrested in the wee hours. Welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you.
Elbow?
Thank you. Oh,
We do the elbow now.
Sure.
Things are crazy, I'm telling you. So,
crazy world.
I'm telling you, the coronavirus is causing
Terrible.
fear each and every place. Now, please tell us, Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde was arrested in the wee hours. What led to this?
In the first place, it was foreseeable. Anybody who has been here, who has monitored the politics of this country closely, wasn't shocked, wasn't surprised. It was really foreseeable that that was going to happen. But the speed at which it happened and the manner it was executed, the timing, I think that is what is a little bit surprising, because if they are alleging that he has committed acts of treason, and you bring the director CID to arrest him at night, and again you take him to CID headquarters to record a statement at night, that's rather shocking, because you wouldn't expect CID officers to behave that way.
As a lawyer, was that procedurally correct
No.
from your security apparatus?
Of course, arrest can be effected at any time. If you suspect that a crime is about to be committed, or somebody is about to flee from the country, or anything of that nature is about to happen. But I don't see anything suggesting that probably General Tumukunde was about to flee from Uganda, or that he was about to topple government last night. So it was uncalled for, and it was a violation of the law to effect the arrest at that time and to force him to record a statement at night without his lawyers. And the way it happened at a very terrific speed, it violated the laws of this country.
We are seeing this government, you know, so tight, or actually acting in a very, very unprofessional way. The heavy-handedness we are seeing towards Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde wasn't the same when the ANC president, Mugisha Muntu, made his way into politics, creating that political party. They were not so hard on him like that. What is prompting them to use all their machinations to bring this man down? What are they scared of?
I don't think the treatment is subjected to is unprecedented. It has happened to a number of Bushwa generals. You've seen what has happened to Dr. Kizza Besigye, worse than what has happened last night. The likes of General Sejusa, he had even to go into exile, Amama Mbabas, and many others, a couple of others. So I don't think it is unprecedented. But what is the...
Go ahead, sir.
What is important and critical right now is for us to analyze the undercurrents behind his arrest. There is more than meets the eye, certainly.
So help us expound on this issue, because the viewer doesn't understand what is happening.
In my honest opinion, this could be a habinga for some potential explosive situation. And the signs are quite ominous. One shouldn't just superficially look at this issue and treat it as just like any other event. And in light of the statement that has been issued this morning, in fact, it made me believe my gut feeling that I was actually correct. That he, even in the declaration he made that he's going to stand for president, was triggered by something, some forces.
What are those forces?
No, there were those antecedents. You recall the events leading up to that. they withdrew the security guards from him. And there was a lot of hullabaloo about it.
A few days after
A few days before.
he announced, yes.
No, before he announced.
That was on Friday, then he announced on Monday.
Exactly. It was like a deja vu, you know, in 2011, early 2000 or 99, or thereabout. Shortly after, Dr. Besigye had issued a statement, a political dossier about this regime. They set out to arrest him. And immediately after getting the certificate of discharge from the army, he rushed to the Electoral Commission. No, actually, he made a declaration. It was Saturday evening when he made a declaration that I'm going to stand for president. But they were about to arrest him. And you recall the events that unfolded later. So what is happening right now? It's quite clear this regime was about to arrest General Tumukunde. And he wanted to stave it off by going to the Electoral Commission to announce that he's going to stand for president. They were about to arrest him. And if you are to connect the dots, Romeo, look at the statement issued by police today, where they are saying he's going to be charged with treason. And what are the ingredients they are pointing out? They have cited Section 23 of the Penal Code. Two key elements which are so fundamental. They said, one, he is inciting a neighboring country to invade Uganda. And much as that neighboring country is not mentioned in the statement, obviously they are referring to Rwanda, because previously you had the statement issued. Secondly, inciting mutiny. These are two critical elements. Inviting a foreign country to invade Uganda, and also inciting mutiny within the military forces. Those two key elements should be interrogated further, because they are behind these undertones you are seeing. I mean the events that are unfolding. Mutiny, Mr. Museveni fears anything to do with a general who could be having influence on the army. That's why Kayihura right now, and if you attempt to do that, you will be treated with the kind of might like you have seen. You'll be humiliated. You'll be subjected to all forms of persecution. It happened to General Sejusa because by the time he was arrested, he was coordinator of intelligence security forces.
And he was talking about successions.
Exactly, he was talking about succession and whatnot. It also happened to General Kayihura, and it was also linked closely with Rwanda. And the way he was also treated, everything is on the wall. It also happened, of course it started with Dr. Kizza. At one time he said, I have overwhelming support within the military. And Mr. Museveni said, please back off my forces, or else you will go down 6 feet under. So anything to do with the army, he will not take it lightly. It's obviously clear from the events as they unfold right now. There are those undercurrents which have influenced his arrest right now. And they are related to either the influence he has with the veterans, and now you can connect it with the great trek in Ruwero, Wechiso. You can connect it there, and the way he is now trying to appease the veterans, because they are also disgruntled because of the very many unfulfilled promises. They are extremely disgruntled. So there is a fear that anyone like General Tumukunde can rally them into mutiny.
How will he be able to do that when the same veterans came out this week actually condemning Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde's move to actually leave the chairman of the High Command to actually start fighting against him? You saw that clip.
I saw it, but you have to read between the lines. A pocket, you should say, a pocket of the veterans. Obviously, a statement can be made by one or two purporting to represent the wider community within a particular society. But that's not the case. In this particular case, I'm telling you, majority of the veterans are disgruntled. They are disenchanted. They have their own frustrations. They are disillusioned. The way they have been treated by this regime, like a handkerchief and dumped. So they have their own grievances, and they have not been addressed. And Mr. Museveni cannot address them right now. So, it has not happened yesterday. It has been happening all the time. As we are heading towards elections, there is an upsurge from the veterans. Within the military circles, it is the same story. Within the police forces, there is a lot of disgruntlement. Let me tell you, there is a lot of disillusionment within the police forces, within the military. So many, even at a very, because you would ask yourself, what explains the rumors that General Erweru was running Bazak? And it was spreading like wildfire. There is no smoke without fire. There could be something there. What explains the fact that Mr. Museveni had to come out himself to go and lead that great trek, trying to give handouts to those veterans? What explains that? And now, the element of foreign intervention. Everyone knows that there is the tension between Uganda and Rwanda. They have signed a number of agreements. I don't know, every month I think they sign an agreement. Those tripartite agreements, after agreements. And up to now, the border is still closed. The Katuna-Gatuna border is still closed. And there is no end in sight. There is no hope that pretty soon they are going to open the borders. Why would it call for the intervention, for example, of the president of DRC and Tshisekedi and yes, and Angola? What explains that? Yet this is a matter which could be resolved within the East African community.
Yet we are not united.
We are not united. Isn't it a paradox that the same person, Mr. Yoweri Museveni, who is superintending over a dialogue between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, and actually witnessed the peace accord, the truce they signed. He is the same person who is being superintended over by some forces, some other leaders, and he's not bringing it within the East African community. Never mind that actually he should be the elder.
Indeed.
Within the region.
Let's stick to the gist of the conversation. You talked about Rwanda having reached out to Tumukunde, or Tumukunde reaching out to Rwanda to cause a mutiny in this country. But then we've been hearing it from the other way around, that it was the General Kayihura in police who was working in close proximity with the Rwandan security officials to actually deport illegal aliens or some of the detractors that had left Rwanda and take them back to their country where they met their death or they were thrown in jails. So we also heard that Tumukunde was actually trying to fight just that, and that's why Tumukunde and Mr. General Kayihura were at loggerheads during that time, and President Museveni had to relieve both of them. What do you make of that? And how does Tumukunde come into the mix with Rwanda? You'll
ask yourself if that was the case, and indeed there is some truth in that, that Mr. Kayihura was accused of, colluding with Rwanda to
deport dissidents.
Yes, to undermine our security here, and also probably overthrow the government. There were those allegations. But why is it that at the same time they relieved the Kayihura of his duty, is the same time the minister in charge of security then, General Tumukunde, was also sacked?
Because they are fighting together.
No, you see,
Tumukunde was fighting Kayihura.
Conspiracy theorists can have their explanation to any given situation. And the allegation at that time was that actually Tumukunde was planted there to first sort out Kayihura and thereafter fall into bigger things. But that never happened. Instead, what we see after dealing with Kayihura, now he's descending on General Tumukunde. No situation is permanent. It could be true that at that time, probably, there was connection between Kayihura and Rwanda. Probably, after Kayihura was put out of the picture, maybe there were attempts, there were maneuvers made, because you don't undermine that, underrate him. Don't underrate Kagame. He's a very shrewd politician, a very shrewd one. And he was also in intelligence, and most of these people actually were in intelligence here. Kayihura was in intelligence, Tumukunde in intelligence, Kagame in intelligence, Sejusa intelligence, all of them were in intelligence. So, where they have been pushed, they can always reach out to each other. I can't rule out the fact that General Tumukunde could be in close contact with Kaihura now.
What?
With
Is that why
it could be true that, look, and then he would tell him, look, man, I faltered. I'm sorry for what happened. This guy does not mean good for this country. He's all out to purge all of us.
Do you have
you know how he has?
Do you have evidence to prove these allegations, Lord Mayor?
The way he has purged all the Bushwa generals. Tell me one man still standing. From General Sejusa, Kagame himself actually, Kaihura, General Besigye, Dr. Kano Kiza Besigye, to begin with, Dr. Kiza Besigye, Mugisha Muntu, Mama Mbabaz, all of them. Tell me one outstanding Bushiwo general who is still in good books with Yoweri Museveni.
None of them.
None of them. So wherever they are,
but you have Mbabazi
there is that thread.
Mbabazi is trying to go back into the fold.
Well, you can never know.
They invited him for their
And
last
probably,
national delegates meeting. He went.
Well,
so we don't know if whether Lieutenant General Tumukunde, after all this fracas, bubbles down, maybe he might go back.
You know, there is a way Mr. Museveni has been juggling around these generals, playing one against the other. But I'm sure one of the reasons he had to reach out to Mama Babas is because he was facing the fire from within. He knew what was going on. I do not want to believe that General Tumukunde wants to stand for president. I don't want that to even cross my mind at all.
He just wants to annoy the president?
You see how he started?
Because that's what John Agenda said.
Let me tell you, the way he started. And people were telling me, you see, this man has started also underground movements. He's consulting for road mayorship. I just rubbished it off. You remember? Not so long ago, when he was moving all over Kampala here, that is conducting preparatory meetings, consultations. And you could believe that? That General Tumukunde was going to stand for road mayorship in Kampala? He was up to something. He was up to something. The very reason I believe he is not going to stand for president. But I'm so sure, and I want people not to be so dismissive. I don't want to, because one day you'll wake up to a rude shock when this country is up in flames. There is a Paris crisis.
God forbid that will not happen, and that's why the fourth estate is hot on this conversation, so that we can divulge the information for the viewers so that they can make the right decisions.
Definitely.
Now, in your opinion, as a lawyer, is there any prescription within the law, within the Constitution, that bars any citizen from calling an incumbent or advising an incumbent to step down or retire? Is that a recipe for you to get detained? Because that's what they're saying. They are charging him with abuse of office and spreading propaganda after he spoke to CBS and Radio 1.
That was before. When he was arrested.
It's one of the charges they've added.
And detained at the senior police officer's mess. And I listened to him very carefully. I listened to him when he was explaining the reason why he supported Mr. Museveni in 2016. That it was not out of his own conviction or own volition. That was compelled by circumstances that warranted him to behave the way he behaved for purposes of getting a discharge certificate from the army. That is the explanation he gave. That he fooled Mr. Museveni to give him because in a nutshell, that's what he meant. He fooled him to do that. Now you are saying it is those same charges they are resurrecting. That he made unpalatable statement on a talk show on CBS. No, because those are service offenses at that time. But here they're talking about, they are not court-martialing him under the UPDF Act. They are charging him under the Penal Code Act, Section 23. Look at Section 23.
Let me just quote right here what Mr. Inanga did say. Mr. Inanga said the arrest follows his utterances in a series of radio and television interviews which seek to foster hatred and that might lead to inter-community violence, fomenting glorifying violence in general. He, in addition, calls on the support of a neighboring country, like the Lord Mayor said, it could be Rwanda, to support him in removing the current leadership with or without the ballot.
And also,
such a statement.
Why are you stopping there?
With or without a ballot?
No, look at the element of mutiny.
Let's first talk about with or without a ballot.
Exactly.
Does that mean he was calling for mutiny?
No, they added that charge as well, that count of inciting mutiny within the military forces. But coming back to the issue of inviting a foreign country to invade Uganda, forget about that rhetoric in the opening statement that he made utterances, blah, 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 blah. The real issue, the gist of the matter is on those two key elements. Inviting a foreign country to come here and attack Uganda. Because otherwise, those other statements don't constitute treason anyway.
Yes.
That you made statements about the army and what not. No, those wouldn't constitute. Even if you incited violence, you made a statement which are perceived to be fomenting what they saw, intercommunity violence. What does that mean, by the way?
Let me give the viewer...
Let us interrogate that.
Let me give the viewer another quote right here. He is therefore being charged under sections 23, 2 and 23 of the Penal Code Act, which deals with instigating persons to invade the Republic of Uganda and inciting any persons to make a mutinous assembly.
Inciting people, some elements, to make a mutinous assembly. And the first one...
If these allegations are true, indeed Rwanda was in close proximity with Mr. Lieutenant General Tumukunde, does that put the Tripartite Summit or that peace process that we've been trying, the wrangles we've been trying to resolve with Rwanda and Uganda into disarray?
I don't want to express my pessimism about this, but I want to tell you, it would be illusion on your part. It would be illusion on your part to ever believe that we shall resolve these matters between Uganda and Rwanda through those purported talks.
We are going to come back and expand more on that situation, whether or not these recent revelations will put that peace process at loggerheads. You'll help us expand on that. Right about now, I'm going to link to my reporter once again. That is Stephen Mbide. He's stationed in Mengo. Mr. Mbide, very good morning once again. What's the latest? We are still here, Lord Mayor. Now, Mr. Luganda, the lawyer, actually contends that his client might be released in the next 48 hours and his case taken to the DPP for pronouncement. Do you envisage that he might be held for more than 48 hours or maybe until nomination dates to bar him from running for the presidency?
Well, what my brother is talking about is the due process of the law. Under normal circumstances, that's what should happen because the Constitution guarantees that right. Once you are arrested, immediately you should be informed of the offense with which you are being charged, given access to your lawyers, personal doctor, and all that what is provided for under Chapter 4 of our Constitution. But unfortunately, and I know my brother is alive to that fact, we have since jettisoned the Constitution. There is no constitutional rule in this country, no constitutional governance. We have a military government in place. So what he's talking about is even suggesting that it could be taken to a civil court. It's not going to happen. One of the most violated provisions in the Constitution is that 48-hour rule. So many people are languishing in jail, in prison. You've had preventive arrests and what not. So these people are violating the Constitution left, right, center with impunity flagrantly. So I highly doubt that he's going to be taken to court, more so to a civil court. So what is going to happen, you don't need to guess about it. Definitely is going to be taken to the General Court Martial, like it happened to so many people. Dr. Besigye in 2005 immediately returned from South Africa. He was arrested and taken to the General Court Martial in Machindi. I happened to have been one of his lawyers in that very court. And what eventually transpired was that he was charged with treason, a litany of other charges were pressed against him. And eventually he was detained, and you recall he was even nominated from prison. There was a lot of hullabaloo about that issue until the Deputy Attorney General then had to overrule his superior's opinion, legal opinion, Professor Chiduma Kubi, and said, okay, he can be nominated. So I see it's going to be a long haul for General Tumukunde. He's just beginning the journey, the long walk to where we are all destined for.
Do you think it might be held until nomination day in October, so that, in other words, to bar him from getting nominated or running for the presidency?
Because now this is March, nominations are in October, it is still a long way. It may be their wish, but it may not happen. Because, of course, there are so many things that are going to happen in between. And it wouldn't even be a bar anyway, because I think it is now settled that one can be nominated in absentia. Maybe since he's an independent, it could be a different case, because for Dr. Besigye was being sponsored by a political party, FDC, and he wants to stand as an independent. And that may even disorganize his programs. At one time, he had indicated in 2005 he wanted to join or register political, I think it's a registered party he wanted to take on over.
This is Tumukunde.
Tumukunde, General Tumukunde, that is a progressive something party. I think he had those plans in the offing, but they have all been thwarted or nipped in the bud.
Is that why he was arrested by Kaihura during that time, 2005?
Yes, because it was related to the utterances he made. Remember that time he hadn't gotten a discharge certificate. He was still a serving army officer.
In Parliament? He was representing
He
Parliament,
was
then he was relieved, then arrested from Parliament, and then kept for 2 years.
Yeah, he was still within the confines of the army. And they had total grip on him. And they could subject him to the army disciplinary code and the martial law. That could happen then. But right now, he's a civilian, he's a retired army general, just like his colleagues, many of them, who are out of the barracks, out of the uniform. But that does not guarantee the freedom one should ordinarily enjoy even when he's out of the uniform. Because many of them, you can see what is happening. They have all been court-martialed. I myself am a civilian. I was court-martialed. I've never put on a uniform, a military fatigue. But at that time when I was representing Dr. Chiza, I was court-martialed in 2005. So I'm sure he's not going to be produced before a civil court. Neither is going to be given bail soon. He's just going to be court-martialed, and they remand him. And the next thing, heaven knows what's going to happen next. Yeah.
Just in case he's released and he's given the leeway to run for the presidency, do you think, in your opinion, do you think Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde has what it takes to trans President Museveni come 2021, in case he's released?
I must say he's swimming upstream in this particular case. In two sense, I mean, I have two aspects here. There are two reasons I can advance. One, he's fighting a military regime.
Okay. Number two?
He's fighting a military regime. He's going to face the hurdles many of his predecessors and all those who have attempted, including Dr. Chiza Besigye, they have faced.
It has begun. Number two?
Yes. Number two, the fatigue within the public domain. And the kind of mixed feelings. People don't trust him so much. He has stayed on long with Mr. Museveni for too long. And secondly, he has come out to somehow deny his connection with the first family. But that has not been so much accepted by the public. He wanted to debunk it, to say, look here, I'm not related to Janet, I'm not related to so and so. But the public has placed him within that precinct, within the first family. That's where he belongs. So to extricate himself and get that confidence is a Herculean task on his part.
So you don't believe he'll be able to trans Museveni? Yes or no?
Of course, let me tell you, it's not a yes or no.
First, give me a yes or no.
A yes or no, it can be yes, it can be no, depending on the prevailing circumstances.
Okay. Because,
but we are not going to have a free and fair election. That is a given. That's for the record. You'll agree with me, you can insult me, you can disagree with me, but I want to tell you, Mr. Museveni is not going to organize a free and fair election.
As we wind up with this,
so there is no way you can say General Tumukunde is going to win that election when it's not free and fair. Does he have what it takes to overwhelm Mr. Museveni's rigging machinery? That is the $1 million question. Does he have what it takes? Because it's all about overwhelming Mr. Museveni's rigging machinery. And even after winning, force him to relinquish power. You need the masses on your side. Has he got the capacity to galvanize that critical mass?
He thinks he has the
that
support
can
of the young
coerce
people.
Mr. Museveni to relinquish
He
power.
thinks he has the support of the 73%, the young people.
You see, the best he can do, and this is what I suspect, what is happening here. That's where I started from. The undercurrents, the undertones behind this. There's likely to be a police coup. You remember what happened in Zimbabwe? Mnangagwa had to flee to South Africa. They carried out a bloodless coup against Mugabe. Where a situation where you have this question of longevity, somebody staying in power for several decades.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. But
from
as we wrap
within.
up, let's extinguish the Tumukunde Museveni conversation and let's focus on Lord Mayor Arias Lukwago with these elapsing minutes. Are you harboring any presidential ambitions come 2021?
My brother, let me tell you, you can see the house is on fire. We want now to take charge of the destiny of this country. The situation we are contending with, even if one is harboring those intentions, even if one is having those ambitions, you have to first contend with the obtaining circumstances right now. We have a military regime in place. And all indications are very clear we're not going to have free and fair elections. So that's why we in the people's government, and this is a message we are putting across all change-seeking agents and forces, let's galvanize our forces. Let's come together. We call this behind a particular cause to usher in the much-needed change. When I hear government trying to charge General Tumukunde with allegations that he's talking of causing change with or without the ballot, that sends the signals that probably the direction we must take is what is leading General Tumukunde into jail.
Lord Mayor, as we wrap up, these violent tactics that we are seeing, people being arrested here and there, the tensions in the political realm in Uganda, could that be the reason why we are seeing few women running for office?
Oh, my brother, you see,
I
I understand. You know, women can stand in the fire in the kitchen, but they cannot stand the gunfire. It's not easy for women to stand the gunfire. You ask this lady in Rwanda, Victoria Ngabire, she's called Victoria Ngabire.
Okay.
What is happening to her? It's a one woman's battle. She's facing it rough, all kind of humiliation and dehumanization. She may be putting up a formidable show, but I doubt whether